Hey folks, Green Stuff Gav here. We're back with another unboxing from Hatchet Partworks. Now, if you haven't seen any of the previous videos, Hatchet Partworks are a company that does normally monthly magazines where you collect them all and you can generally build models or things like that. Now, they've partnered with Games Workshop and they're doing a weekly magazine called Combat Patrol, where in it you pay £10 a magazine, you get a load of combat patrols and also magazines that teach you how to play 40k 10th edition. Now, we subscribe, so we get this every month. We tend to get it at random times, so the issues in your local newsagents might be different to what I've got here, but normally you're about in the middle. So we'll open it up, we'll see what we've got, and I think we're on Genestealer Acolytes at the moment. So Combat Patrol 63, 64, 65, 66. And we are due a new folder. So all the magazines themselves are all perforated, so you can take them out and store them in the folders. You're supposed to sort them through, but I don't. I just stick them straight in. Cool. Okay, 64, 65, 63, 64, 65, and 66. Let's have a look. As noted, all Genestealer Acolytes this time. So let's have a look. So, Acolyte Hybrids, they're very similar, like half Genestealer, half people. I mean, I believe this is a full squad. So if that's like a 30 quid squad for £9, that's a good deal. Always like the Genestealer coats because you've got the standard sort of bodies and legs and that, but you've got the Tyrannid-esque arms, and you tend to have a lot more random weapons because of their whole not being coherent army, and it's all underground. You've got things like demo charges, and you've got some hand flamers that haven't been seen since Necromunda. Auto pistols. Some really nice detailing. And these are multi-part squad, because look at all these different heads you've got and all the weapon options. So that's quite nice. I like that. Some bases. One thing they do in Combat Patrol, which I quite like, is they give us the Combat Patrol data sheets in a little card form. So Combat Patrol is slightly different from 40k. The stats are different, the skills are different, and there's less stuff in it. So, yeah. So we get the cards for Combat Patrol. Their enhancements. That's an Eldar one. So that's part of the Eldar one. And some new objectives. Quite nice. So you can flip them when you've captured them. That's cool. Again, don't have to do that, but they did, and I appreciate it. Where did the magazine go? Right. So, Acolyte Hybrids, issue 63. How to build. Again, I like, you tell it's an older kit. You've got the torso separate from the legs and the different arms, which I quite like. And it does specifically say here, try mixing the arms. I like that. Instead of a lot of Games Workshop is pre-built these days. How to paint, starting with base coats. Picking out details. Using the paints we've been given. But I like these. I've said it before and I've said it again. These are very achievable paint jobs. Like, it's nice seeing studio minis. It's also nice to see these things that we can actually achieve. Background. How to use name tables. This is something else they've added that, again, they didn't have to, but I really appreciate. How to generate names, little name chain tables you've got. What kind, name for the units. And then some background for the various, which they do specifically per unit. Again, someone has to write these. Datasheet, which you've seen. And a scenario using the models we've had so far. 5 Acolyte Hybrids and a Magus. Against Chaos Space Marines, 1 Hellbrute, and 2 Chaos Space Marines. Seems difficult. Combat Patrol. So we already know we're getting some Acolyte Hybrids split across 2 issues next. Talking of which, here's the first sprue. Again, I believe these are like 35 quid kits in Games Workshop, so getting 20 quid for a box is still a discount. And these are the full kits. So you can see we've got a plethora of heads options there. Got some more there with Rebrievers and a bit more Gene Stealer. So these are Neophyte Hybrids. So presumably slightly less Gene Stealery. Because I believe Brood Brothers was the actual humans. How to build them. Again, we got some weapon options, some head options. I suspect we don't get any weapon options, but it's Combat Patrol. So one of the paints we received recently, going back over previous Combat Patrols, add in some details. So this is where we should be with our paint jobs. Story time. Background about weapons. Again, all the different weapons they've got. Nice, give some background, some story. Again, story background for the actual unit. Build them, paint them, play them. And their data sheet. Interestingly, it doesn't tell us what they're armed with. So, are they all armed individually? Who knows? Campaign time. Eldar versus Squats. Again, next issue is the other half of the sprue. That's the one problem, is getting hold of them in order. But then 66, again, a whole, I believe that's a whole box. $65. Now, I think this is where you're at if you go to newsagents. As of whatever it is today, 27th. So we've got some bases. We've got 2 different sized ones, which presumably is the heavy weapon and the heavy weapons. And the other half of the sprue. So you've got like 2 bodies. So you can effectively get 2 guys. Oh, 4 bodies. No, 4 legs, 2 bodies. So you get 2 guys off the sprue. Got 3 guys. There's another one there. Is that 4? Yeah, so you get 4 guys off this one's 5 guys. Wow. They certainly scatter them about. So let's count backs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you can get 5 guys off this sprue. Again, we got very Gene Stealery details there. Lovely details. Hard to paint because we built them last issue. Using some inks, some highlighting. Again, where we should be with our paint jobs. Story time. Story time. So the ongoing campaign between the two combat patrols. So the idea being that you get them all and then you can play them all against each other, teach yourself the rules. Orcs versus Gene Stealers. In this month's issue, scenario. And then this we got next. Neophyte Hybrids. So same again in the next 2 issues. Again, there's bases and a single sprue, so this must be a box set from Games Workshop. And for $9.99, that is not a bad price. So Aberrants are like bigger, more Gene Stealery hybrids. Or they're mutants. Could be either way. 3 hands on a hammer. And they got chains around their neck, so presumably they're great big grotesque things that get thrown at the enemy. I seem to recall they were quite powerful a couple of editions ago. But again, lovely details. Each one's individual, which is nice. There are a few head options. If there are arm options is another question. But I suspect so. To build your Aberrants. Okay, so you have got different options. So it might be a couple of options per guy, which is quite nice. And they've gone away from the combat patrol. You can only build this one way. It specifically says. You can build the 4. This guy stays the same, but the other guys can be adjusted. That's nice. I like that. Especially if you can be taking multiples in an army. Painting, painting, painting. Again, we go through things like inks, picking out details. Nice solid paint jobs. Certainly be happy with them as an army. Gene Stealer background, story time, how they infest, and then onto 40k actual background. Artillery, and the Aberrants. Lurching mounds of lumping flesh. Fierce commitment. Horrible experiment. So yeah, they are the strange and unusual. Some background. Again, doesn't have any effect on game, but it's nice to have your dudes build and paint and play them. And you generate a name using the charts. Toughness 6 is very good. 3 wounds apiece as well. That's very good. 5 attacks apiece, hitting on 3s, and strength 6. So they do a lot of damage as well. Nice. Captain Librarian against 5 Aberrants. Oh. Really? A Captain Librarian against 5 Aberrants, 10 Hybrids, and a Magus. With no terrain. I suspect this might be a Gene Stealer win. then yeah, so we get 4 issues a month. The next 2 is going to be more Neophyte Hybrids, and then we'll get 2 more, which one will be a rock grinder, I believe. Anyway, yes, again, good value for money if you can find copies of it, because they do sell really quickly. Some supermarkets don't even put them out. You've got to ask for them, because there's big problems with scalpers, as with everything else in the hobby. But no, anyway, all in all, thanks for watching. Do the YouTubey things, but most of all, have fun.